Well, hello again, and I've got this opportunity to speak to you. I hope that you actually see this program in the year that I'm celebrating my 75 years of ministry. It's quite unusual because not many people can actually celebrate 75 years particularly and keep going as I am. I think I have a busier program this year than for a long time. It's quite incredible. But I really want to look at one subject in the Old Testament which always intrigues me. And I'm reading in the Authorized Version from, it'll be chapters 13, 14, it might even look into 50. No, it's all contained within these chapters. And it's quite interesting because even before I realized I was going to speak on this, it's very heavily marked in ink. Because I sense that this that I'm going to talk about is extremely important. And you've got to start in the first verse of chapter 13. Now, we do know that this was a period of great miracles under Moses. The children of Israel saw probably more miracles under Moses than even under later such as Elijah and Elisha, because it was Moses that led the children of Israel out of captivity in Egypt. And he actually spent 40 years of his life doing this one job. Oh dear. I dread to think. I don't know that I would have certainly liked to have been in Moses' shoes because of what I'm going to be sharing with you as we go through today. But what's happened here is that the children of Israel have come out of Egypt and they're on their way to what is known as the Promised Land, which we now know as the land of Israel. But there were problems. The fact is that the whole journey from Egypt to Canaan really was basically 40 days. And that's with something like 2 million people and all their cattle. It certainly is something that one can hardly imagine. This was a massive migration. And so when they get near to the land of Canaan, in the first verse of chapter 13, the Lord spoke to Moses and said, "Send men to search the land of Canaan, which I will give the children of Israel. And from the 12 tribes, send a man, every one a ruler." So in actual fact, the 12 spies were chosen because they were the leaders or rulers of the 12 tribes. So every part of Israel was represented in this. Now, I'm not going to go into the names. That is not so relevant to what I want to say. But in verse 17 of this chapter, Moses sent them to spy out the land of Canaan and said, "Go up this way to the south and go into the mountain and see the land." Obviously, you can see it better from the mountain, as I know full well. And check and see the people that are living there, whether they be strong or weak, few or many. And check what kind of land it is to see whether it's good or bad, what cities they've got, do they dwell in cities or in tents, and In other words, they were basically told that they had to make a very thorough investigation to see what kind of people were there, weak or strong, to see how they lived, and to check on what kind of a land it was. Right. So it was actually the time of harvest, it says here in verse 20. So, verse 21, they obeyed and they went up and searched the land from the wilderness and ascended by the south, came to Hebron, and then they came down into the brook Eshcol, cut down from a branch of the vine with a bunch of grapes, and they carried it between two poles. And they brought pomegranates and figs. Now, in verse 25, they returned from searching the land after 40 days. Now, that was quite an extensive time, but presumably they were traveling either on foot or with donkeys or something. That's the only way they could have traveled. But they saw the whole land. And this is what they said. It says in verse 25, this is still chapter 13, they returned from searching of the land. And they came to Moses, to Aaron, and to the congregation of the children of Israel. In other words, to the representatives of Israel, and brought back word and explained to the whole congregation and showed them the fruit of the land. By the time you come to verse 27, what they said was, we came to the land that you sent us to, and surely it's exactly as promised. It flows with milk and honey, and these are some of the fruits. So what they're saying is, the first report is, yes, it's a beautiful land. There's plenty of fruit. It's a very fertile land, as we still know to this day. So that part of the report was good. But then when you come to verse 28, the people, they said, the people that are living there are very powerful. Their cities are walled and big. And we saw the children of Anak there. Now, the children of Anak actually are the giants. And it's quite interesting. This is a completely separate subject in itself, which intrigues me, and I can't deal with it now. Maybe I'll deal with it later, because this story of the giants is quite something. It's very, very interesting. Anyway, so they saw the children of the giants. They also saw the Amalekites, the Jebusites, the Amorites, the Canaanites, and so on. So they saw all the people, right from the mountain to the sea and to the coast of Jordan. That's the River Jordan. Now, the first person to speak was Caleb in verse 30. And in front of Moses and all the people, Caleb was very strong. This is verse 30. Let us go up at once and possess it, for we're well able to overcome it.